If you're wanting to get your first tech sales job without previous experience and you're wondering about the best way to get that done, this is the video for you. Jhan was able to land his job in tech sales with no degree or previous experience, and he's going to share it all, including what helped him stand out from other candidates to get his job in just 29 days. In this video, we're gonna break down exactly what he did to land his first tech sales job and how you can do the same. And as an added bonus, if you stick around to the end of the video, Jhan is gonna share how he's been providing one-on-one coaching to help people break into tech sales and what you can do to get direct support from him in your journey as well. Let's get to it. Hey, Jhan, so glad to have you here. Can you share a little bit about who you are and what you did before you started a career in tech sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is John. Before I did, started my career in tech sales, I was doing sales, but more in a business to customer aspect. So I was doing insurance sales. I did knocking door to door for a little bit for a solar company. Every time I say that, people have this reaction like, oh, yeah, it wasn't easy, but I liked it. However, what ended up happening for me to switch over to where I am now is I actually wanted to get away from sales. But when I heard about tech sales, it kind of shifted my mind a little bit. But I'm sure we'll get more into that later.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, sometimes those things do happen, right? I'm trying to get away, but something sparked my eye here. So yeah, we
Exactly.
definitely will. Now, do you have a degree or any previous experience at all?
So no previous experience in tech, and as far as having a degree, I don't have a degree. What I do have is an associate's. However, that, doesn't really, it's not specified into any, area or any specific, subject matter.
Got you. Okay. No, that definitely makes sense there. Now, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but you didn't really say what was that thing that really made you decide to start a career in tech sales?
So my biggest thing is I didn't like the environment of being in sales in the roles I had before. So when I heard about, the work-life balance of tech sales and just the overall, like how the company functions, that's what intrigued me. That's what made me kind of start to actually, maybe I could visualize myself doing this. And that's what kind of started to spark that interest where I started to do more research, as many people have. They ended up finding, the talk that Cyrus had, or the podcast Cyrus had with AO, Anthony O'Neill. And I saw that. That's kind of, just started sparking my interest. And the more and more I looked into it, I saw how it was different from what I was doing before with business to customer. And that kind of just started, to trail off into me deciding, hey, this is what I want to do.
Got you. And I mean, that makes perfect sense there. Now, and you've been in for a little while now, and you help others get in and learn the skills. Based on that, we'll obviously get into that a little later, though. But what do you think really makes someone a good fit for a tech sales career?
So that's a good question. And I tell people that there's two different types of companies that I've seen when you come into the tech sales. There are those who are extremely metrics based, where it's like, hey, get your calls done, get this amount of meeting. And then there are some that want you to specialize and be really good at what you do. And I think each one of those is going to need something different. But the overarching thing that I think would make someone great for tech sales is being able to communicate properly. That's number one, because some companies will focus on, calling, some companies will focus on emailing, but everything is based on communication. And above that, what I would put at number one would probably be active listening. That is just a necessary skill. That there's no way around it. If you're not listening more than you're talking, then you're failing at your job. But I think those two things go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other. And if you have those two, you are way well on your path to being great at tech sales.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I hope they were listening to those. Those are some great, I mean, those are great tips right there for sure. And so how did you go about learning tech sales after you found out about it? Like, how did you go about learning tech sales to be able to land your job?
Yeah, so I did more research right after I heard the podcast between Cyrus and Anthony. I did more research. I started looking at other people who were talking about it, and I came across CourseCareers. Now, before I saw CourseCareers, I wasn't in a position to go ahead and get the course, so I just tried it by myself. I had applied before. I had a Now I wouldn't call it a decent resume, but back then I thought it was a decent resume. And so I just started applying, seeing what happened. And ultimately I got no traction. And so I decided, you know what, let me invest in myself. I'm a religious man, so I spoke with God. Me and him have a good connection. And so I spoke with him, went into prayer. I spoke with my wife, and everything started aligning to where I ended up getting the course at the beginning of this year.
Awesome, man. That's great stuff right there. Definitely making sound decisions, sounds like. So, all right, so you said you spoke with God and then you spoke with your wife. And what ultimately is that what put you over to go ahead and decide to choose Course Careers and pay for it?
That's exactly right. I had already done the free intro course, and so I knew the value in it. And not only that, I saw so many other people and their success, and I even reached out to people. And so it kind of became a no-brainer. This is the path I'm supposed to take.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And so, what are some of those things that you learned in the course that helped set you apart from those other candidates that before you were doing it before you even got in the course? So, what were some of those things that you learned in the course that helped set you apart from the other candidates?
Absolutely. So the number one thing, and I started to figure it out even in the job that I have now, I was stacked up against people that now I know they had bachelor's degrees, they had all of this information, but because my information and my knowledge was so specific to the SDR role into tech sales, it just put me over the edge of all the other candidates. And that's actually the question that got me the job. Was actually they were asking me, what does the daily life of an SDR look like? And we go over that in the course itself. And so it was extremely easy for me to answer that question. My interviewer, who's my manager now, he told me, like, you have no idea how many people fail that question. But essentially, having that knowledge of what an SDR does day to day, that completely changed all my interviews. Number one thing that I tell people is, if you don't have confidence, the interviewer can actually tell. They'll be able to grasp that, and then the interview is going to change. You're not going to like the way it's going to go because they're either going to put more pressure on you or they're not going to take you as serious as an interviewee. And so, number one thing I would say, it builds confidence knowing what you're talking about. And then along with that, one thing that I strongly start, I mean, I talk about it all the time, is knowing the lingo. If you know how to talk like them, and you're like one of them, it's a lot easier for you to get through the door. It's a whole lot easier. And I mean, Course Careers does exactly that.
Yes, sir. And it's crazy because, like you mentioned, I remember seeing a lot of people come through, and yes, like you said, they have the degrees, but
Hmm.
a lot of people, man, they just see maybe hybrid role, right? Or
Yeah.
they see the dollar amount that the salary is, and so
Hmm.
they don't even know what an SDR is. So for you to come
Yep.
in and know exactly what it is, exactly what they do, and how you're going to help that company,
Yep.
yeah, it kind of sets you apart for sure.
Definitely.
Uh, so after you graduated from the course, right? You finished the course. How long did it take you to land that first job?
So officially, it took me 29 days. However, the job I have now was actually my second offer. So I had two offers. I had one 27 days after, and I had the one that I have now with the company I have now, which was 29 days after. So all in all, it was less than a month. But realistically, I could have gotten a job 2 days even earlier.
Man, that's awesome, man. It's
Mhm.
always good to have choices for sure. Do you think you could have done that without going to Course Careers? Whether it's done it in the 29 days or even gotten past the interview process, do you think you could have done that?
Absolutely not. I will say with a caveat of a maybe. However, that maybe is so far stretched. Like I would have had to do way more work than simply going through Course Careers. It's definitely possible because there are people out there who do it, of course. However, for someone in my specific scenario, it would have been extremely hard. And like I mentioned, it's because of that, because of the fact that I knew what an SDR was like the back of my hand, and so it's just made it that much easier.
Man, yeah, that's definitely positive stuff right there. And so, how much was your salary once you actually made it into the tech industry and you got in your role as an SDR?
Yeah, so salary itself is 50K for the current role that I have.
Yes, yes. And now with that, does that come with anything extra as you do great, or is it just flat salary? How does that work?
So no, there's an OTE, which is an on-target bonus, right? So if I hit my goals throughout, every month for the year, that means I'll finish the year off making $86,000, and that's just my first year.
Man, that's awesome. You can't beat that.
Absolutely,
For 29 days to go ahead and get into a space where that's possible, you kind of don't hear that kind of stuff.
absolutely.
So, okay, so now that you're in tech sales or you're in the tech industry, what are some career goals that are now open to you now that you are in the industry?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the basic, route that everyone takes is going from SDR to AE or account executive. But there's other opportunities, even inside of the company that I have now, like an account manager or a sales engineer or solutions consultant potentially as well. I'm weighing out my options. I'm definitely weighing out my options and seeing which way that I'm leaning towards.
Right. And there's a lot of people who don't realize that, going
Hmm.
from the sales side of the company, there are a lot of different avenues that you can
Oh yeah.
take, and they would love to have you. So,
Hmm.
we'll be looking to see what you end up going with there, right?
Absolutely.
I know you said, hey, I went from door to door outside. I've done these different things. How big of a
Yeah.
difference was it from then to now?
It is even hard to describe. I mean, the type of sales that you're doing when you're doing business to customer is so different. And not only that, just the tech industry itself is completely set apart from every other industry. Number one is that work culture. They actually mean it. Like that stuff that you see, people talk about, they actually mean it when you're in tech. They actually mean it. They want to have a great work culture. They want, you to be a good culture fit for the company. And that makes a giant difference. Whereas other companies or at least other industries, they just need someone who can do the job. It doesn't matter how you are, how you act, as long as you can follow the rules that they set for you, whatever, you're good enough. But not here. They want you to be a good culture fit. And that also means that you're going to end up in a team that is going to support you. It's going to be people that you relate with and actually want to lift you up because honestly, that's what I felt so far being here. And it makes a world of difference. I mean, even now we have a basketball like arcade hoop inside of my job and like a golfing, putting green. And we have fun throughout the day. It's not, everyone just pounding the phones going crazy. We actually have time to lay back and have fun and stuff like that.
Man, yeah, you actually have a place where they are actually keeping in mind of your mental
Yeah,
well-being, not just work, work, work,
absolutely.
work. So, man, that's great. That it allows you to continue to actually work.
Yeah, that's right.
So with that, John, could you tell some of the viewers, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but can you tell some of the viewers how you help others break into the tech sales industry right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing or another avenue that CourseCareers opened is that now I am a trainee on there. And one of the things that I do, I have one-on-one coaching calls. I have those throughout the week. So I'm helping people actually just a couple of days ago, I believe it was Friday or Thursday of last week. I had someone send me a message and it just gave me another, lift me up where they ended up getting into a really great tech company and it was amazing. I congratulated her. But it was great seeing that. And now on top of my one-on-ones that I'm doing with people, I teach them the strategies that I used. I teach them the quote unquote secret stuff that I use to kind of get my resume seen more and actually get to talk to some of the people that are looking to hire for those roles. And I also now do what I call the job search accelerator groups, which I get a group of anywhere between 6 to 9 people. And for an entire 4 weeks, an entire month, we have 1 hour that we take out of every single day. And we just dive deep into the strategies. I answer every type of question imaginable. And I also help them with things like a mock interview. I help them, set stuff up for themselves as well if they need help with that. So it's great, man. It's great. I'm seeing, seeing success from the people that I'm helping. It just makes it that much better.
Yeah, man, I love that already. I know people that are listening, they definitely can relate. And if you all want to see what John has to offer and the things that he's talking about right now, well, first you have to get into course careers. So that's the first part, right? If you want to follow in John's footsteps, you go through course careers and landing your first tech sales job. I've included a link below in the description, and it's going to allow you to be able to sign up for the free introductory course that John was talking about. And that's going to teach you everything you need to know about what working in tech sales is about and how their tech sales program really works. And then from there, if you are looking to get that extra added help, just like John Reese just said, then you can go ahead and get in his coaching program as well and be able to get walked through getting the course done and go ahead and getting to your first role. And so with that said, John, thank you so much for being a part of this. We appreciate you, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Absolutely, Trey. Thank you very much.